Hello, everyone. This is Daryl Andrews, Coach D. And I promised you I was going to come every day with one of these messages on dealing with dealing with barriers to reinvention and rebranding. And I mentioned the times may be different in, over the next few days when I started these on Thursday because of the holiday. So here I am at 8 at night doing one. And I'm actually on spending a little time with my kids. They're relaxing and doing their thing. So I said, well, let me go ahead and stay the course as promised. One of the challenges in doing these videos and things of this nature and podcasts is consistency. So one of my, you know, resolves going into the new year is to be consistent with the things that I share, because once you start sharing this information and people start benefiting from it, the worst thing you can do is pull back and not offer it. So I am away with my children in an undisclosed place. I don't want the paparazzi showing up or anything like that. And just a few of my children, just to relax and take it easy. But I do want to take, and this time it will go under. I did 30 minutes to the last few. This one will probably be 5-10 minutes max, but I want to talk about another barrier. Now, just up front in the general information, you notice that tomorrow, Jay McGowan and I are releasing the podcast, the Transformation Project podcast. This thing is going to be powerful. We've already had a bunch of interviews. Tomorrow interview is with Rachel Revel, who's an efficiency time management expert. If you have struggles and issues with managing your time and being productive, you want to make sure you listen to that podcast. The only way you're going to listen to it is if you subscribe. So go to the link for the podcast, the Transformation Podcast, subscribe, listen to the interview. And every week we're going to have different interviews with people who've done some amazing things with their lives. And so make sure to go there and take a look at that. And then also, we have a webinar that's coming up soon. I'll be releasing some information about that soon. It's going to be a free webinar that's going to be powerful. That Jay and I are going to be hosting, and it's going to be a powerful kickoff to the new year to get folks excited about. Remember, one of my core statements was, we don't want to make resolutions. We want to develop a resolve. We don't want to do resolutions. Everybody does resolutions every year, and 95% of the people do not, I say it again, do not achieve those resolutions. And the reason why, it never went from a resolution to a resolve. And a resolve is a more in-depth, okay? It's a more in-depth analysis of oneself to say, whatever it is I say I want to do, I want to get it done. And that's that, deep down challenging part that we try to avoid. But the reality of the matter is, if you're ever going to achieve what you say you want to achieve, be it whatever capacity, all right, you got to make a resolve to do it. And resolutions ain't going to get you there. We see that happening year after year. Like I jokingly said, when you work out at the gym, you get frustrated because from January, everybody packing that gym out, taking up all the spaces. And all we would say every year, we would say, don't worry about it. By January 15th, they're all going to be gone. And guess what? By January 15th, everybody out of there. All right. So the reality is you got to make a resolve. So let me jump into this subject tonight. So now I don't want to I get into this, and next thing you know, I'm sharing some information. So if you want to share some comments, go right ahead. If you have some thoughts based upon, there you go. Go on, Kareem. That's it, man. Commit to my commitment, and don't allow anything to stop you from that, my man. Don't let anybody stop you from, because what happens again is we know that. Here's the thing. I remember one of my mentors said it like this. We never realize what we're robbing people of by not being committed to that which we say we're going to do. Like, we don't know who's going to benefit from something as a result of us committing to do what it is we're going to do. So when we make a commitment to, from a business perspective or a career perspective, or even personally, in our life, to be a better parent, to be a better spouse, whatever it may be, once you make that resolve and then you start making changes, then people start to benefit. But people may never get a chance to experience it if you never do it. If you have a great product idea and you never do it, you never put it out there, you never know whose lives could be impacted by the work that you've chosen to do. Let me say this real quick, and then I'll jump into self-doubt. That's our topic for today. You know what I mean? That's it. Come on. Come on, David. David Justice. There we go. Nothing's stopping me from what God has planned for me. Come on, David. That's what I'm talking about. You see? But if you don't do what you're called to do, you never know who you can bless by doing what you're called to do. You know, one of the things I love in my work is many of you know I work with youth all the time. And so we do a lot of the adult programs, but we do a lot of youth programs. And I've shared this story before, but this is one of my anchor stories that make me stay committed working with youth. I do a lot of stuff with adults now, but I still do a lot with youth because of this. I call this one of my anchor stories. And as the story goes, there was this young lady. I was speaking in Illinois and to a group of about 1,000 young people at a middle school. I want to tell you why we need to stay committed. And when I travel, I always believe wherever I go, God's sending me there for a reason. I don't know why. It could be to impact the organization or it could be to impact individuals or whatever, but I'm there on purpose. So my work is not about, it's about purpose. I know why I'm called to do what I'm called to do. And so I go to speak at the school, 1,000 young folks, and and people are like, how do you motivate these young people? Well, one thing I can tell you right off the bat, you motivate young people by meeting them where they are, making what you're presenting about them, not about you, but about them, and getting them to see internally who they are so they can make a resolve to want to be the best that they can be. I've been doing it for years, so it's like, for me, it's very easy. Okay. So I'm speaking at this event, and there was this young lady I kind of noticed that was kind of really into what I was saying. And you can, that's something when you have 1,000 people or so, and you can notice one person, but you can sense something. And so I did my speech, got a standing ovation from 1,000 young people, which is almost incredible, and they just got up and they said, thank you, Mr. Andrews. And they, wanted to talk and shake your hand and take pictures. Some of you see the pictures I post up on my media, but they just want to surround you and take all these pictures. And I love that, man, because we realize we impact their lives. But I was about to leave to take a flight somewhere else, and it was a really tight schedule. And the principal at that school said, Mr. Andrews, could you come back to my office and speak to this young lady? Now, first when he said come back to my office, I got nervous, reminded me back in my old days when I was in school. I thought I had to go to the principal's office. So what did I do? And some of you may have heard the story before, but some of you haven't. So I think it's worthy of repeating. And so I went and I went back into the principal's office, and there was this young lady that she just looked like something was wrong with her. Some challenges she was facing, and something was going on. I don't know what it was at the time. I found out. And she looked at me and I said, what's going on? Why does the principal want us to meet? What's going on? And she takes this piece of paper and she slides it across the desk over at me. And I read the paper and I look up at her. I'm reading it and I look at her again. And what that piece of paper was a suicide note. This girl had planned on taking her life at the end of the school day. And she said this to me. She said, I've been in foster care. I don't know what's going on. It seems like nobody loves me. I got clothes that I've been wearing for the longest. Kids in school tease me. I just feel so disheartened. I don't no reason to live. And she looks me in the eye and she said, Mr. Andrews, give me that piece of paper. And she took this paper and she ripped it up and she threw it in the garbage can. And she said, your speech today gave me a reason to live. Because this is something I say at all of my youth programs, and that is a student with a dream is a student with a future. And she said, I have a dream. And she said, you said, Mr. Andrews, that you can't do anything about the past, but you can do everything about the future. And she said, I realized that everything that happened to me in the past was out of my control, but what I can do in the future is within my control. And so as the story goes, she turned things around. And I found out, we helped out too. It didn't just motivate her. I helped out during my time there and gave some funds to some people to help her. But the reality of the matter is, here's the thing. What if I would have decided I'm not going to pursue my dream? If I wasn't going to pursue my goal? Now, that's one of many stories that is similar. That's not the first time that has happened. But if I wouldn't have committed, then guess what? That young lady probably wouldn't be here today. And many others, because that's not the only time I've heard somebody say something like that. So the point I'm simply making is this: you're depriving the world of your greatest contribution when you decide that you're not going to do it for whatever it may be for a variety of reasons. For me, I'm about motivating, inspiring, doing strategies for organizations and individuals. For some, like David, is properties and putting people in homes that become their places where they raise their children and live their life, and all their memories and experiences are there. And whatever it is that you're doing, like your thing is powerful. And it's powerful because it's the thing you're supposed to do that nobody else can do. And here's the thing: don't worry about competition. Nobody can ever do what you do. It can't be you. Like people talk about me, I have no competition. They can't do what I do because they're not me. You see what I'm saying? So I don't operate in the realm of competition. You see, I understand that I'm called to do something. And so let's talk about self-doubt real quick, because it's an important topic for us to think about. And it's a barrier we don't want people, all right, we don't want to allow ourselves to get consumed with, because we don't want this to shut us down going into 2021. So if you're a person that deals with self-doubt, hopefully when we're done talking about this barrier, you won't be. Okay. So when you think about self-doubt, it's a lack of confidence in oneself and one's ability. That's all it is. A lack of confidence in oneself and one's ability. Now, that self-doubt can come from a variety of places. It can come from people who you're currently associated with that constantly remind you what you can't accomplish. It could come from an upbringing where people, put you in a box and said you can't accomplish this or you can't accomplish that. Or, and a lot of times, I hate to say this, parents, sometimes the parents are the worst, because we don't necessarily give our kids the tools that they need when they're younger to maximize their potential. So we say things, and sometimes we say things based upon our own experiences, which binds them up from being all that they're called to be because of what we went through. You see, and so that's why with my children, I've always raised my children based upon their purpose and their potential and their passion, not based upon my experiences, because I just don't want that. So self-doubt is really one that comes from is one's abilities. Like we doubt ourselves. We get to a point where we think, well, I can't do this, or I can't accomplish this, or and we start to believe it. Yeah, we start to believe this stuff. We start to believe that we can. And so that becomes, in biblical terms, a stronghold. That becomes a stronghold. And that stronghold that's what is reason why it's called stronghold, because it got you wrapped and you don't go forward because you don't even believe it can happen. You doubt yourself, you see? And so that's why it's called self-doubt. Sometimes it's not even people. It's just that you have embraced these experiences, or we have embraced these experiences in our life, and we've allowed it to get us to the point we have no belief in our own potential. I do these exercises with my customers, and I love doing this. Like we do a lot of, I'll tell you, we do a lot of the Zoom trainings and Zoom, speaking and training programs and coaching. And like when we're doing the trainings, it could be 500 people on that training, you see, and this is critical. There can be 500 people, and I'll have them all type in the chat feature, "I love myself." And you should see that chat feature light up. I love myself, man. It's just like, people, I love myself. And some people are like, I really love myself. And people are like, I'm crazy about me, and you put that all in there, man. You should see these people, they're typing all that stuff in there. And I'm sitting there flipping over it, and they like, and I shared that with them. I said, you have got to look in that mirror, and that person you see in that mirror, you need to be their number one fan. You need to be their number one fan, because you the one that got to get up and get that person moving every day. You see, I mean, it's really, you listen, nobody's going to do it for you. You got to get up. So you got to be a fan. You got to be a supporter. You got to be a cheerleader of that person you see in the mirror every day. Right where I'm sitting right now, there's a mirror in front of me. I look and I point at that mirror. I can't do this stuff right here, if I didn't believe in my potential. You guys are like, what this dude talking about? No, the reality is I got to believe in me. I like what Mark, this is good stuff you're saying, man. Mark, key component is conviction, is vision. When you see a mental picture of the end result of God's purpose for your life, describe that picture and call your vision statement. Mark has a lot here. You can look at it, and see. But the point being is that, the reality is that you have got to see it clearly. You know what I mean? You've got to see it. I've got to see it for myself. I can't listen. Sometimes we spend so many years trying to get people the affirmation of people. Fulfill your purpose, and trust me, you'll have more affirmation than you can ever imagine. It's amazing how you become a magnet when you're doing what you're called to do. You ain't worry about affirmation. People will find you, they will track you down, and they will let you know you're doing what you're doing. So you find that people who achieve have a tendency not to be overly concerned with adulation. They're not really concerned about that. They know that the adulation is going to come later. I said this before. I said, I remember watching Bill Gates one time when he first started Microsoft, and they were starting to make a lot of money. But he wasn't giving a lot. He wasn't contributing a lot. Okay. And so this interviewer was saying, man, you're making all this money. There's no charitable effort coming from your company. He looks at the guy, he smiles. This is what he says. He says, when I give, you'll know. That's all he said. When I give, you'll know. See, he didn't need that guy to be, give him a pat on the back. He knew who he was, and he knew his first goal was to build that company. Now he's probably one of the number one givers worldwide. Hundreds and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to all kinds of causes. He didn't have to get the affirmation of that reporter. Now I wonder what that reporter would say now. You see? So self-doubt, listen, couple things about self-doubt. I said I'm not going to be long today, and I mean it. Number one is raise your self-awareness. Raise your self-awareness, man. Don't think we've been taught, okay, one thing we've been taught is not to, be too caught up into ourselves. And I get that. That's not what I'm trying to say here. But if I'm going to stand on a stage, or if I'm going to build a product, sell a product, or if I'm going to be a school teacher, or if I'm going to be a school principal, or if I'm going to be a professor, or if I'm going to be a vice president of UF sales, I'm the one that got to stand up there and do all that. I have got to be I'm the person that has to get up and go do that every single day. So I can't have self-doubt because there's people that's dependent on me. And that's one of the things with leadership. A lot of times people don't realize, with leadership is powerful, man. It's yeah. You see, that's what I'm saying. This is really something. Yeah. Yeah. So thanks, Mark. I appreciate that, man. Definitely, reach out anytime, brother. I would love to hear from you, man. Seriously. But the thing is, you got to be the person, all right, that's standing up every day, going out that door, looking in that mirror and saying, this person, this man or this woman, whoever you are, is going to get out here and going to use his gifts to the fullest. I want to make my contribution, knowing that there's going to be obstacles, knowing that there's going to be challenges. I just got a big challenge that hit me today. And I said, man, it hit me pretty hard because something just took place. But then I said, man, let me dust myself off. You know what I mean? I'm going to get back up on the saddle and I'm getting busy because I'm not going to stop being me, doing me because of these obstacles that come our way. That's just, that's just life. To me, it's almost like the more you pursue, the more you're going to have challenges. You ain't got no challenges, you probably ain't pursuing much. It's funny how we like if life is as easy and everything is going, it's like, man, obstacles don't come to people who don't pursue anything. There are obstacles that will come later, in life, challenges and different things. But people who pursue, no doubt, that's just the kind of the price for admission. You know what I mean? Another thing too is don't talk about your plans to everybody. That's another thing. Because a lot of times people can't handle your plans. Listen, I have a circle of about 4-5 people, all right? 5 people max that know about Coach D and what Coach D's plans on doing. I ain't telling nobody else. Because what happens is simply this. People have a tendency, because they're not where you are in your thinking, to measure you about how they see you. And so what happens is if you go to someone and you think they're going to be excited about what you're planning on doing, and then they're not, then you now are taking their energy and their energy is becoming your energy, and you no longer even believe in what you're doing anymore because of what that person may think. So don't tell everybody your plans. When you have plans, keep them things real close and only tell it to a small inner circle. I love what Zig said, years ago, man. I used to love the interactions we had with Zig. Those of us who were in the National Speakers Association were priceless. He said, you got your give up goals and you got your go up goals. Your give up goals are goals you're going to give up. I'm going to give up eating too much. I'm going to give up not exercising. I'm going to give up drinking. I'm going to give up whatever. You can tell everybody that. Those are give up goals. He said, but your go up goals, only let a few people know about that. You see, because because people, when you're in pursuit of something, not everybody's there to support you. They're just not. Okay. So let's definitely keep that in mind. And then also trust your values. First of all, you got to have values before you can trust them. What are your values? What are the things you value? Discipline, commitment, hard work, drive, determination, things like that. And trust them. Don't just have them, but trust them. You see? And the reality of the matter is simply this. The reality of the matter is simply this. Your values should drive your daily actions. You see, I look at my work, and I know, like, a lot of you sending me messages here, and I see Derek. Hey, Derek, man, thank you for that. I'll check out the message. A lot of people know me. I've been doing what I've been doing for so long. I just know people all over this country. I mean, look, I ain't been to too many states. I don't know somebody, because I've been in most of these states so many times. But the reality of this is I've always had to operate based upon what I knew what was inside of me and what I knew I could accomplish with that was inside of me and the values that I had, despite the negativity, despite the pessimism, despite the challenges, despite people trying to tell me, when you stand on stage, you open to everybody. So everybody got a comment, everybody got a suggestion, everybody, you get thousands and thousands of people telling you, that was a great speech. However, if you would have said, I'm like, okay, you were like sitting row 10 of 10,000 people and you about to tell me how to redo my speech. I'm like, it's just amazing. But you gotta listen. Here's the deal. And I listen to all of them folks. I let them share what they have to say, and I say, thank you for your input. Not that I'm gonna do anything with it, but I listen to it because everybody got something to say. But you have got to know what your values are. You have got to know what your values are. And so the big thing about self-doubt is don't we all have it to some extent. Just sometimes it tries to creep in. You know what I mean? Just like I said, try being a public speaker when you're about to get on the stage in front of 4,000 people. You want to hear self-doubt trying to get you, it'll come right at you. But what you have to do is you got to think about what your message is, like from a speaking perspective. Think about how you've prepared. That's crazy if you don't prepare. You don't get on nobody's stage without preparing. Think about what the message is going to communicate to people, how it's going to change lives, how it's going to impact businesses, how it's going to impact education systems, whatever you're doing. And then when you stand on that stage and you've bought into your own message, not that self-doubt message, then when you stand up there and people see, like, my goodness, I've never heard a speech like that, or man, you just speak with so much confidence. And, I just, all these different things. And that's because you have prepared yourself. You have prepared yourself. So self-doubt is crazy. Let it go, work, but you got to work on it. And tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, come back because I'm going to be back on with my man, Jay McGowan. All right. My business partner in particular with this Transformation Project podcast. And we're going to be doing some webinars and some training programs. We got things going on. And of course, you all know about Pierre Campbell and you all know about Rachel Revel and people that are in my circle. We got a lot of neat things coming up next year, but definitely jump into that Transformation podcast tomorrow. We release it tomorrow fully. And it's going to be powerful. I'm sorry, we released it last week. Tomorrow is going to be the second podcast. So tomorrow's podcast number 2. And I believe that's with Rachel Revel. And she's going to be talking about time management and efficiency management. You want to listen to that. So listen, I'm getting ready to go. And listen, we're talking about all the way up to the new year, overcoming doubts that impact our ability to reinvent and rebrand ourselves. And again, my core message is don't create another resolution, create a resolve. And what we're focused on right now is resolves. Okay. All right. And because if you have a resolve, you'll never have to make another resolution as long as you live, because your life will be just a living resolution, because everything you're going to be doing is going to be based upon what you've internalized. Listen, I'll say this before I go. When you see an Olympic athlete, and I've said this before, run a race, what you see is the end result. You didn't see the training. You didn't see the tire on that person's back when they pulling it, dragging it down the track. You didn't see the countless hours doing sprints or running distance or sweating and drinking Gatorade, sweating. Then you see them on the track and you say, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen, but you didn't see all the other stuff. So if an athlete has to fight through to produce, what makes us think that we can just have an idea in our head and just do it? We need to be training ourselves, training our minds, training our thoughts, rethinking, repositioning our thoughts, reanalyzing why I think the way I think, all these different things in order to produce the outcome that we desire. All right. So that's pretty much it for now. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Okay. I know many of you are on vacation, so jump on board and become up, get on into what we're doing. Share our information, share it on your pages, let people know. We're just going to keep giving this information out because we believe in it. This is not 2 weeks of information. This is 20 years. Been at this stuff for a long time. Not making it up. I can sit here. We got books on this stuff. We've been written several books and writing for many more. Interacted with thought leaders all over the world. I've been as a believer, just pray, believe God for purpose, and use my life to make that change on the planet. And that's all we're doing every day. So thank you for your time. Hope this information was helpful. And share our information with other people. And as Jay would say, one of his famous songs, come on, ride the train, man. We're going to ride this thing right on into 2021 and 2021. And we're going to make some changes next year that's going to produce some amazing outcomes. Take care.